Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Town Manager Download, a podcast about local government and the town of Shrewsbury. I'm Kevin Mizikar, the Town Manager, and as always, I'm joined by Communications Coordinator Taylor Galusha. Hey, Taylor.
Hey, how are you?
Good. What's going on?
I'm excited for today's episode. We're going to be joined by Becca Keane, the Director of Integrated Resources and Customer Experience, and Darren Borge, Selco's Technical Operations Manager. We're going to get to talk to them about Selco's Smart Meter Initiative and kind of just like what smart metering is. So.
Great. Yeah, I'm also looking forward to a quick conversation to kick things off about AI experimentation within our office and somewhat across the town, and just what we've been doing in that area. So a little bit of a techie conversation today. Others can judge us on whether it's techie in the end or not, but that's what we'll call it from the outset.
I'll say it's tech.
Okay.
Tech savvy.
So what's been going on for you?
Not a lot. I feel like I'm just doing my spring cleaning. So me and my roommate did a big Savers run the last 2 weekends of just going through things we've collected over the years and making sure they're finding new homes. So
nice.
Different dishware and whatnot that we've come to love and move on from. So we're excited to have not plain gray dishes, and we've had some fun ones.
Good.
A lot of spring cleaning and getting ready for summer. So kind of summer cleaning, I guess. But
nice.
We've been busy in the professional development area.
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I recently attended the Massachusetts Municipal Management Association conference, which was a 2.5-day or 2 full-day conference. And we haven't connected on this, but I said we had to. We had a really interesting seminar on crisis communications. So not emergency communications, but challenging things, being a public sector organization that, could cause concern throughout the public, or at least a lot of attention, and how we go about building a strategy associated with that. So I found it really much more enlightening than I anticipated going in to it. So It was an exciting conversation. And then also not super personal, but last Friday I had the opportunity to speak on a panel at the Massachusetts Select Board Association annual conference for their newly elected officials.
That's awesome.
Beth Cassavant and I were on the panel talking about building strong relationships both among select board members and with the town manager or town administrator of the community. So it was really good and challenging, and getting some of the questions, especially for some of the smaller towns that don't have a town manager or town administrator. It was difficult to answer those questions, to think about how 3 or 5 member select board members can really manage a town. Obviously a lot smaller population, but still a lot of the same needs that we face.
I think I was talking to somebody that spent some time in completely West Coast, a lot of the people I met through the local gov initiative. And it's funny that no matter what size your town is, whether big, small, in the middle, all the problems that we face in Shrewsbury are the same challenges that they're facing across the country. So I feel like that's very a uniting feeling, that even though Shrewsbury is professionally managed and has a 5-person select board and a town manager, there's still the same challenges if you have a 3-person select board and don't have a manager or administrator. So
and even right next door. Even right next door. Worcester is updating their 5-year strategic plan, and I read through that today, and it was a lot of it could just be changed over to Shrewsbury. So it was interesting. So of course we know we're all facing the same challenges and part of the bigger ecosystem. So what's up in the Shrew?
I have 2. So I just want to say congratulations to the rec department for the first week of summer markets kicking off this past Thursday. I stayed for most of it, and it was a great time with a lot of great vendors, people I've seen before, some new vendors. Food trucks are great. The live music was great. And I just think that they really took like feedback from the vendors last year and kind of transformed this like kind of 2-day thing that we usually do into like one event that I think made everyone a lot happier. I had a great time, and then they had their food truck festival on Friday, and that was a great event also that I got to attend. So I just want to say shout out to them,
Yeah.
Carly, Trisha, and Laurel, and Jess. And then that summer markets are at Town Hall every Thursday from 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. until like the middle of September. So if you've never been to either food trucks or farmers market, it's you can do both in one day now, and it's definitely a great community event. And I would say like good like quality of life initiative in town to kind of have this like bigger sense of community right on Town Hall's front lawn. So
Contrary to some people, I have been to them.
I know you have. We've been. We went to one together for strategic
kidding.
plan.
Just kidding. Not
We
kidding.
hang out there,
Yep.
talk to people. Sometimes. No,
What else is going on? Sorry to sidetrack.
totally sidetracked me. The fire department also has put out a speaking of strategic plans, has a strategic plan survey out right now that people can find online. We also have like flyers at Town Hall that can give you access to it. So they're updating their strategic plan, and I got to work with them on putting the survey together. So definitely, if you guys have 5 minutes, it's a really quick survey, and it'll help them a lot in how to meet the community's needs better from the perspective of the fire department, whether that's public education, public initiatives. So, yeah, they're excited to go through this process.
And then some people have been mentioning that as they've been scrolling through the internet, they've received an opportunity to respond to a town of Shrewsbury general survey. So
Yep.
what's that all about?
So this is part of our strategic plan. So people might remember back in 2020, it would have been 2021 that we started on the back end, but this started all when I first got here. But in 2022, we participated in the National Community Survey to help benchmark ourselves against other communities, but also so we could benchmark ourselves against ourselves in the future. So this is our second survey that we're doing of this kind to help see where we're at pre-strategic plan now. I guess technically a full year into it, a year and a half now. So if it does pop up on your Instagram or Facebook or whatever places you get ads, please take it. It's super helpful to us. We're working with Zen City to kind of conduct a more statistically significant survey, so it'll be more reflective of the entire population and not just the same people that usually participate in surveys. So we're hoping to kind of cast a wider net by approaching it this way. So I'm excited to see the data we get back from it and get ready to do another one in 2 more years. So.
Yeah, and it's geofence, so it
Yep.
can only be taken when you're within the town of Shrewsbury, and it goes through some questions to
Make sure
build
you're
the
a resident or like business owner.
Yeah.
So
That's great. So still a lot going on, a lot in the public engagement arena that we continue to work on. We're through town meeting and off into the summer months and waiting for the state to finalize the budget and everything like that. So let's get into a little AI.
I guess, should we talk about like what AI we're talking about?
Yeah, let's talk
a little
about that.
bit?
Yeah, so I mean, we haven't really applied any wholesale systems throughout the town as far as our business process operations that relies upon AI yet. I will jump right back into our work with Zen City as an organization where we're parts of their systems and features that we use, especially on their Engage platform, obviously has some AI capabilities built into it. But I thought it was important just to talk a little bit about, how we're using it more on the kind of analyst and executive assistant front, and discuss how we think about AI when we talk to our staff, and maybe how we've each been using it a little bit in our own work. So I don't know if there's anything specifically you want to share.
No, not about like the platforms. I mean,
Yeah.
we've tried them all.
Yeah, ChatGPT,
yeah.
Gemini, all
Yeah.
those.
So what I usually lean into more is Gemini, which is Google's AI platform, just because we are a Google Suite organization and it's just a quick shortcut for me to use. But it's definitely was something I was super hesitant about in the beginning, kind of coming from like a more creative background. But after like using it myself and going to different classes and like webinars about how you can use AI in like a sounding board way, it's definitely become a great like brainstorming tool for me. Or if I'm having like writer's block about how to phrase something differently, or like I want to say something in a different like tone or voice, that's like a directive like you can give AI. So you can be like, hey, like help me draft a summary that's has a professional but fun toned voice, and it'll take whatever was the original summary and like reconfigure it to make it more lighthearted but like keeping it professional. So that's how I've used it a lot. I know you use it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So if I don't know, like
Yeah.
you're like kind of like I'll give you some props here. You've been like very much the front runner in our office of keeping up with different updates with the different AI platforms and like teaching us how to use them differently in our roles, which I think we all like appreciate.
Yeah. I just, so it's here, it's coming, it will only become more integrated into everything
Yeah.
that we do. So, I see these, it's kind of standalone on these fronts right now as far as the chat features and its ability to, kind of mine these language models and really be helpful in the work that you do. And, we already see, and I'm far from an expert, of course, but we already see Google talking about how they're going to integrate it into their, G Suite and all their other programs. And it's going to be right there on your desktop. It's going to be able to read what's on your screen and help you analyze it. So just getting familiar with it, knowing it's going to be part of our life forever is, I don't want any of us to bury our head in the sand. And that would be my recommendation to kind of everyone out there that, if you thought the internet was something that was going to, go by the wayside and you avoided that for the first 3 to 5 years or whatever, like, don't do that.
This isn't,
Yeah, kind of, pick it up and learn as it goes right now. I mean, some of the most powerful things that we've used the chat-like features from, and I do default to ChatGPT, is analyzing really big documents or taking, a base RFP document that we've created and uploading it and, letting the chat tool know that this is an RFP that we created, and then uploading responses and asking it to analyze the responses in comparison to the criteria that we set forth in the RFP. So I'll throw the big disclaimer out there that everyone needs, like you have to check it. It's not perfect. It can get a line wrong. It can get a figure wrong. But whenever you're looking at, the corner of your desk and you have 1,000 pages to read from 8 different respondents in an RFP, and you want to give everyone a fair shake and opportunity, and you don't want to think about how tired you're going to be when you're reading the 7th one, right? It's just a good way to kind of get some highlights from each one of those and do some upfront analysis, and then take the top 2 or 3 and really dig in and see what they look like. Of course, I thought the best way to be able to figure out how I've been using ChatGPT is to ask ChatGPT how I've been using you. So I did that, and
what did it tell
said,
us?
Organizational challenges and solutions, strategic planning, professional development, project management, governance and legislation. And I'll just go a little bit deeper on that. Offering information and clarifications on Massachusetts general laws as needed for municipal governance, right? So, it's kind of like a next level search engine is how I've been using it. Can provide some really deep initial analysis. And like you, I've just kind of been, rather than writing notes and preparing to write a document, I've kind of just been dumping that information into ChatGPT and then asking for a summary of what I put in and where I can go from there.
I think the other thing that's cool that you showed me, because I'm definitely a pen paper type of person, it's just how I've always remembered things. Like in college, if I typed my notes like
Yep.
right over my head. I don't really retain the info, but like writing it
Pen to paper.
down, like
Yep.
it helps me retain and understand the information. You showed me like the Claude was the one, right? That you can like take a picture of your handwritten notes and it'll upload it
Yep.
to,
Yep.
no one can see me doing this, type like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
document. So it's also like tool based
Yeah.
too.
I mean, that's really helpful. I do the same thing, and then you can ask it to analyze what, and I've been putting dates, timestamps in on it. Like, what have I been spending most of my time
Yeah.
on recently, and trying to track my day that way, and just get some feedback that you otherwise don't think about or look at. Yeah. So, I mean, so I've used Claude.ai a lot as well. It's been really powerful. Since ChatGPT updated to their Omni version and so much of that's free, if no one's used it, I'd say go to ChatGPT because you get a lot of really powerful high-end use tools for free with a significant amount of usage. And then you, after 16 different chats in a single 24-hour period, you'd have to pay or stop using it for a while. So, but I think it's a force enabler, right? We're nowhere close to it replacing the town manager, at least as far as
Yeah.
I'm aware.
No, right. Definitely not. No.
It's very, it's
No, but like we're both like for my role being the communications coordinator, like I'm obviously I get support from everyone on our team and throughout the organization, but like I'm just me when it comes to like developing and creating content and taking in information from every department basically and trying to reshare it, rewrite it for like public understanding. Like it's been super helpful to help my workload. Like I said, just being one single tailor. That's all I have. So it helps me kind of get through the weeds of like brainstorming and like wordsmithing statements and whatnot.
And one final area, kind of picking up what I talked on before with the RFP process, I've utilized it. I've uploaded our strategic plan, the whole document into the chat feature. And then we, of course, at this time of the year are both reviewing year-end performance and setting goals for FY25 with departments. So uploading the strategic plan, uploading all departments' FY24 goals and the FY25 goals that departments submit, and just asking ChatGPT like, does this work together? What parts of the strategic plan are we addressing? What parts of the strategic plan are we not addressing? And, it's actually did some crazy things and aligned, one aspect of the strategic plan to a goal that doesn't make any sense, but then it's also provided some insights on how you could think about, strategic outcome area differently. So, just again, reiterate, like I encourage, folks to explore with it, not overly rely upon it, but see how it helps bring some efficiency to whatever task it is that you're taking on.
Not ending it on a negative note with AI, but I think it's something we not learned the hard way with like social media and the internet, but there definitely needs to be like awareness of like AI like literacy the same way we talk about like social media literacy of like what images, now that it's gotten to that point that it can do images, videos, music,
right?
Like, just having that in mind when you are not necessarily related to our work, but like just in the global scheme of things, like making sure we're keeping that in mind when we see stuff online. So
and when
it's crazy.
When you're a professional and you're working in your environment and you're checking your work and you're using it truly as a tool, it's not cheating, right? No. I hear that all the time. Like, how is it cheating? It's a force enabler. Like, was the internet cheating whenever it was created in the late 90s and people really started using it on a commercial and research basis? Of course we don't look at it that way. So
it's definitely one of those things that we'll look back on differently. I think the same way, like you said, people thought of the internet versus like reference libraries and
we'll look back on this conversation one day and be like, oh my God, that's all we used it for.
I know.
But
that'll be funny. We'll have to set like a reminder for like, I feel like even just 10 years from now it'll be different. So
everything evolves. That's the bottom line. And speaking of evolution, we're moving into some really new, exciting territory in the Selco realm, and we're piggybacking some municipal work upon that. So why don't we just take 1 second pause and have our colleagues from Selco join us on the Town Manager Download.
You just like opened the fourth wall like doing that.
All right, so we are joined on set now by Becca, Keane, and Darren Borge of Selco. Welcome to the Town Manager Download.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So we always like to start off having our listeners get to know our guests a little bit more. So if you could each just take a couple minutes and tell us about your career path into local government and your current positions and how long you've been with the town and any other important points of why you got into the positions that you're in today.
Sure.
I'll let you go first.
Okay. So let's see, I've been at Selco for a year and a half. I started in December 2022. Prior to that, I was at Belmont's Municipal Light Department in a pretty comparable role. I finished there as Energy Resources Manager. Oh, Energy Resources and Customer Care Manager. So
close.
pretty similar to what I'm doing now. Yep. Of course, at Selco, we have the whole cable side, which is new to me and very interesting to learn about. What first attracted me to public power was just the idea that I could be doing something good with my work on a daily basis. That was really important to me. And I always knew that I wanted to be focused on energy and climate work. I have 2 degrees in environmental policy. So I just knew that that's my passion. That's what I wanted to flex in my professional life. So it was just a perfect mix of what I wanted. And what has kept me on this path, and I think I don't see myself going anywhere, is the fact that, yeah, I think I'll stay
Chris.
for a while. Yeah, no, don't tell them. Is that I think that work at the local level is satisfying in a way that I didn't predict, which is that the stuff you work on and the results you get is very tangible, right? So I think in this field, I would have an option if I were to go elsewhere to work maybe at the state or federal level or even in the private realm. But based on discussions with my peers who are in that arena, you can work on stuff for months and years even and see your projects go nowhere. And that's something that I would feel really defeated by. So I love that working at the municipal level, you can have an idea, discuss it with your colleagues, with customers, launch it, and then have a program and see your impact immediately. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
How about you, Darren?
So I've been with Selco since January of 23. Prior to that, I was at another municipal since 2008. Various roles all throughout the department over there, ranging from operations engineer, actually becoming general manager. Given my age and sort of where I was in my career path, I wanted to get back to the operations. I wasn't ready to, be holding on to a desk. So made the move over here. I've loved it ever since. Being from a community and working for the community really has, its benefits to where you can actually help people and see that help that you're providing to people and realistically, serving the people that, are part of the community, but also that, with a municipality owned by the people we serve. So, really take that to heart and, just trying to help impact in a positive way to the local community and all different town departments.
Well, we definitely see that happening on a day-to-day basis with the work that you both are doing, and I'm really excited to talk about the smart metering initiative and other kind of leading edge things that you're working on in Selco. So let's take it to the kind of foundation of everything. Becca, maybe you can talk a little bit about what smart metering is and how that's being applied at Selco.
Sure. Well, so I think I'll just describe the project in general and then hand the details over to Darren because this really is his project. He works on it on a daily basis and knows every detail in and out. But in terms of what the project is at large, we are basically updating our meter system to something much more capable and sophisticated. So it allow us to do so much more modern and innovative stuff around just countless topic areas. And we can create efficiencies around, let's give specific examples, effective billing, rate design, program development, energy management by both us and our customers, and then things you can talk about, like crew deployment. So, and what underpins that is the fact that we're going to just have so much more detailed data that will empower us to know much more about our systems and allow us to really act on the insights that we're collecting at a just a, I can't even express it or put it into words. It's just like leveling up so much more, right? Like becoming, actually, I guess a good way to describe it would be becoming the modern utility
Yeah.
that we think we should, our mission statement is to be the role model utility. And this is one really direct way we could do that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darren, before we dive a little bit deeper into that, can you talk about the why? Like, do electric meters need replaced? Do they have a life cycle, generally speaking? And so we kind of killing two birds with one stone with this initiative.
Correct. Yeah, and they do. Meters tend to slow down over time, so then the utility is actually not recovering all the power that they're selling. So they're actually, it's coming at a cost of other customers because of the fact that we're buying the power but not getting a one-for-one sale return on it. So. They do have a life cycle, but it's, as an ever changing industry right now, that we got to be able to make those advancements with the community, with the times and everything else. So, like Becca said, it does create a lot of efficiencies internally to the department with, customer move in, move outs, end reads, start reads, rate design, different dynamic rate structures that we can start to offer now, and just be able to program the meter for that new rate structure right from our desktop. So, and then, once we get deployed, the amount of information that you're getting is just going to help you as a utility down the road with outage management. So where now it can start to show an affected area by outage notifications and restoration notifications, not only to us but also to the customers. So they'll know if they're out getting groceries and they get an outage alert, they know that their house is out of power. But then so they could stay out for a little bit, get the restoration. Okay, now it's good to go back. And help us identify affected areas, but then also be able to see where that affected area stems from and send our crews immediately to there to help expedite the restoration processes. So it's just, it's one step in moving towards the direction we want to move towards. And, once this is done, then just be able to build on top of it. This is just the foundation of it. So
Go ahead,
I
Sarah.
was just gonna ask, like, at its base level, what's the difference between what we're what Selco is doing, what we're doing now, versus what smart metering means in the most basic terms? Like, what's the biggest change that's gonna happen?
we don't have to drive by monthly to go and recover those reads every month. So we have a current drive-by system where, radio on the truck, you drive by, picks up the reads, and then you do that, multiple times a month. And now it's just a click of a button. We can gather all those read cycle data, get all that to billing, and expedite the billing process to be able to get either the e-bills out to customers with e-bill or get them bill print and sent out through mail. So just help expedite processes like that, create efficiencies within the department, not only operations, but
I was
also
gonna
the
say, you
billing
don't have to have
department.
people driving.
Correct,
They can
yeah,
Spend time on
cutting-
other,
cut down on, the carbon footprint and stuff like that, which we're already starting to do by going EV on a lot of our fleet vehicles. But it's just, it can then take our staff to be able to have them work on other things that they may have not had the time to do prior. So it's just,
One thing I wanted to add was when you pair the AMI system with these other tools that we've already unrolled out, our billing system and the Smart Hub portal that came along with it, that is when it really hits optimum, usability. And we've already got those two huge efforts out of the way. We launched our new billing system a year ago. Customers are already utilizing that. So with that in place, now it really is just going to be, it's just an awesome project. I think you can tell we're
excited
geeking out about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're far ahead of other utilities on this
Yeah.
too. This is one of the benefits of municipal light departments is we are much more like agile
Yeah, I
around
was
this
gonna say,
stuff.
like, nimble with what changes
Exactly.
and things you can implement.
Yeah, we don't get stuck in
You have control of your whole system.
exactly.
basically.
The investor-owned utilities in the state are light years behind us. They get stuck in regulation and budgeting. Not that we are not careful about that, but like I said, it's kind of what I was full circle
Yeah.
back to what I was saying earlier, is like if we have an idea, we can evaluate it, deem it a good idea as a team, and then roll it out.
So it's
And
like you have the piece of the pie coming to you, the billing system,
Mm-hmm.
moving to AMI, and then you guys were able to start the fiber. How does like the fiber project that Selco's been working on like tie into this? I guess it's kind of just like a joint initiative of all these things you've been working on.
Yeah, so with the fiber, it's huge for us with our data collection system as part of the AMI to be able to have that direct point-to-point, capabilities, and not sort of be held down by a third-party, maybe cellular vendor, where we all know there's areas in town with bad coverage, and how's that sort of going to reflect with our, meter collections and things like that. So just to be able to have that in-house under our own control and be able to leverage it, not only just for internet for customers, but also be able to leverage it internally for our own resources is huge for us.
So is this initiative fiber dependent, or does fiber really just make it a lot easier for you to take on?
I guess sort of both, I would say,
Okay.
because I've done previous AMI systems that were just cellular backbone, and you have those communication gaps, or if they're doing some type of upgrade, you lose your data. They're sort of holding your data hostage until they get that cellular back up and going. To where fiber, it's direct point to point. There's no vegetation growth that's going to inhibit it or anything like that. So it's really nice just being able to have that capability. And if we have coverage areas that may be spotty, we can put another gateway out there and tie the fiber right to it. Now we have another unit that's just going to create more robustness inside our system.
So I'd like to talk about some myths, but about smart meters and what they are and what they aren't. But let's stay on like the customer benefit as well. You had mentioned before, like move in, move out. Does that mean kind of like if someone is selling their home, we can almost pick like a down to the minute, like when customers transition and what the readings are, and what else could a customer learn from the data that they're creating that's being seen by the smart meter, so to speak?
So your first comment was correct that we could do it. If they want to do their shut off at noontime, we can pull that read at noon. If they want to just do it the day of, we could do it at midnight the day of. It's whatever their preference is, and then that would be their outgoing kilowatt hour reading for that billing period or billing cycle, whatever they may be in. But then as far as like Becca alluded to, was with the smart hub, they can link their smart hub account with their meter and get day behind data. So all the previous 24-hour data gets uploaded every night at midnight. So they can start to see trending of usage and try to become a little bit more energy conscious. And, they can, like I stated before, with the outage and restoration alerts, they can sign up for those either through text, IVR, or email, or a combination of all three. And it just allows them to be, if they did some energy efficiency upgrades, to be able to really see that, next to real time, obviously day behind, but they be able to see what those efficiencies are giving them as far as return on investment. So,
And on the flip
definitely.
side, it helps our customer service reps as well too.
Right.
So if someone calls up with a high bill complaint and it's, there's some mystery about what's causing it, now we'll just have this much more detailed data that they can dig in with
like
the
you could
customer
see
on
to
the
the
phone.
day.
Exactly. What were you doing on April 17th, Taylor?
Oh, it was
Like,
100 degrees for whatever
exactly.
reason.
Yep. Yep. Oh,
And
I
my
installed my
AC cranking,
dehumidifier.
like, all day.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or and start identifying trends. Like maybe I keep flipping on this appliance and can I avoid doing that? So yeah,
I feel like it's something that I didn't pay as much attention to. Like, so I moved the previous community I lived in. We had a municipal light, and the place I live now does not. And I feel like I pay a lot more attention to like AC usage during the summer, like what is cranking my bill up really high versus what I was paying before. And I think that's helpful for people that want to be more energy conscious, like are keeping a closer eye on like expenses and everything, especially if they live like in an apartment or whatnot.
And you may have been able to do that before AMI, but at the
This is way more detailed.
Exactly. So you can just get way more into it to, oh, I put on my hot tub at
Yeah.
$4.15. That's my
why.
bill went up
Yeah.
25%. That really, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I know there's a lot of myths out there with regards to smart meters and, a lot of, the town would use it for nefarious reasons, which there's so much data out there and we have so much other work to do. Obviously, that's not the intent of the program, but let's just put those on the table and talk about what they may be and dispel them to the greatest extent that we can here. So what comes to your mind when you think about smart metering and myths?
For me, there's two big ones. You already touched on one, which is that kind of that big brother question. By doing this, does it give you a better ability to watch what I'm doing? So there's that one, and Darren can give you a great reason why that's not possible. And the bigger one, I think that actually has more traction at at a regional level, is the idea that it's EMF, that smart meters put out a higher frequency of EMF, which is akin to radiation, so that there actually could be dangerous for your health.
Okay.
And I'll turn it over to Darren on this.
So as far as like the EMF, what the meters are only set up to broadcast their data, I think 4 times a day.
Okay.
And that's just, they're much like a link in a chain where one talks to the neighbors one then shoots out to the gateway that then comes direct fiber back to us. So as opposed to the older systems that are always broadcasting their information until that vehicle drives by to go and collect it, it's actually reducing the amount of EMF that's actually out there. So, it's just, taking internal snapshots, collecting that sort of read file, and then 4 times a day, it'll just send off that read file. And then it just collects up in the collector until it downloads to the server at midnight each night. And as far as privacy, like I said before, it's all day behind data. So any, consumption or usage or, information that, based on your usage trends for today wouldn't be posted until midnight tonight. So as far as privacy, we're not, we got plenty to do. We don't need to see when you turn on and turn off your light switches. So, yeah.
And I don't have a good electric example, but I mean, I could make them up. But, I know we're heading in this direction for water meters as well and in our water meter system. And I alluded to that at the beginning. We look to partner with Selco on that once we start deploying it. But, in that same context where you're consuming a commodity that's metered at your home, like we think about water and how many challenging situations we've had with residents because they didn't know an outside faucet was inadvertently left on, or they didn't hear the toilet was constantly running in the background for 2 months of a 3-month billing cycle. And, can systems like this set up flags that would notify the customer and the provider to say, hey, like extraordinary usage at 123 Main Street, and proactively try to save the customer money or maybe causing damage in their home or something like that.
Yeah, no, they definitely can. And I know because the previous utility I was at, we did the same thing with their water department.
Okay.
Where, obviously everywhere that we have an electric meter, there's going to be a water meter. So the communication capability is there. And they would have the ability to jump on our existing infrastructure or backbone of our AMI system and be able to leverage it a lot of the same ways that we already do with the electric, but in the water realm. So be able to notify, there hasn't been any water usage for X amount of period of time, or there's been excessive, consumption. And then also be able to see the trending and usage capabilities, much like you would with the electric, but it just be in waters and gallons. So there's definitely a lot of capabilities and the ability to do so. And for town departments to be able to leverage a single asset in multiple functionalities, that's just huge for a town, and that's huge for the ratepayers.
I think it's something we try to do across the whole organization. Like with OpenGov, for example, we tried consolidating the different systems we've used for permitting and licensing, and it's no different for utilities. So
Yeah.
And then in terms of the alerts, right now, if an electric customer logs onto Smart Hub, they'll have plenty of options to customize the alerts they get. So high usage, low usage, bill is coming out, anything. There's a whole menu, and I imagine it would be the same thing. It'd probably be the same basic system on the water side.
And that's important, right? Like, you know, maybe before you get shocked by a quadruple bill, and if you have a high usage alert or flag on whatever it's called, you know, you can realize that your pool filter is running constantly, and that's not what it's designed to do. Or yep, it's a little higher this month because it is June and we did open the pool. Like it just provides I think, an interesting set of data to help customers with.
Yeah, and you know, and who knows what the future brings, but the capability to be able to link those two accounts to a single login would be huge, to be able to sort of correlate the two and see where, okay, my well pump's constantly running, so that's drawing high usage, but I'm not using as much water, so what's happening here? So
It'll be cool to have our water division friends on in the future to also kind of have like a similar discussion on the water utility side too.
All right, so we talked about some of those customer benefits and alluded a little bit earlier about some insights that the system will provide for outages. Any additional thoughts on that, like how it'll make our response more effective, perhaps in a storm situation, or?
Yeah, and that would be, you know, the information that we're getting from the meters itself as far as affected meters in areas and sort of do they have a common point of connection. That will sort of help us with our restoration efforts to be able to identify where those affected areas are and, you know, lessen the response time of having to ride out that circuit to find that blown fuse or the squirrel or what have you. To be able to just say, okay, these 5 houses that are out of power are tied to this one transformer. We're going to go there first. And then you work from there your way back. So it's the information that, you know, not only for the front office, but also the operations is huge. And be able to see, you know, customer usage or customer voltage at the meter socket if they're getting flickering lights, to see if it's internal or external. And it's just, you know, really just try to give our staff the most amount of information that they can to be able to do their job safely. So,
And how about on the environmental sustainability front? Is there, you know, benefits to this beyond the customer? Whenever you think about it from a Selco as an organization side of things?
Oh, absolutely. This is actually one of my favorite things to talk about.
Okay.
Is the type of rate design we can do with smart meters is just so much better for everyone, for the customers and for Selco. So we can, with this data that's much more detailed, we can really hone in on different customer types, look at how they're consuming energy, when it's the most costly, and then offer rates that will incentivize better behavior, right? So an example that everyone probably knows about is time of use rates. Right now, we can't do that because our data just isn't there for it. But it is really, if you look at industry literature, these types of rates do spur much more environmentally conscientious behavior by the residents that have them at their disposal. And they don't have to be penalizing. They can be crafted in a way that it actually, most folks, if they adapt, they win when they have it. And especially, this is one important thing with offering the array of tools that we are, is we want that the customer portal to be there when we do move in this direction. Hopefully, when we get around to time of use, I'm not saying it's coming anytime soon. It's still a while away, but we have to have these other pieces in place. So our customers will be familiar with Smart Hub and downloading their data, so they might already know in their head when they're consuming how they'll change. And the way that ties to sustainability and benefiting other entities beyond just individual is like, if we are all doing this together, the impact can be really, really great, like with anything at the community level, right? So if we have a whole rate of folks that are on, say, a heat pump rate or an EV rate, and they're consuming energy in a way that benefits not only them, but Selco, then eventually our costs are going to go down and everyone is going to win. Yeah.
So time of usage, try to help me understand this. So I assume, like, if we look at from Selco's perspective, the amount of energy is consumed, there's peaks and troughs throughout the course of the day, right? And I know from being beat into my head from the former general manager, Mike Hale, the peaks are bad, right? Like
Yes.
that's whenever we're spending a lot of money to pull electricity into the grid. So,
Yep.
so how would a smart meter help us? It's going to shave the peak and things like
Exactly.
that? Okay.
Yes, we can hone in on who's contributing, what type of customer it is.
Yep.
We already know generally when our peaks are as a utility, where it's this whole technical thing, but we're charged by ISO New England based on the regional peak for the region. And the way to cut down on our costs is to lower our system demand during that identified peak.
Okay.
Yep. So now if we have this more robust data, we can see what customers are contributing and what we can offer them to turn down the dial during those important hours. There's a main one during the summer that costs us $3 million a year, one single hour in July or August typically. And then there are monthly transmission peaks as well that cost us a couple $100,000. So
Would I be right if I said whenever you're seeing such an anomaly in the system like that, it's like a commercial user versus a residential, or?
it really depends on when we're talking about peaks,
Yeah.
what time of day it is in terms of peaks that cost us money. There are different types of peaks. There's also system peaks, right, Darren, that we have to be concerned about because they overload our system and we'll see more outages. Those don't always happen at the same time.
Got it.
Yeah, but typically we see problems on the operational side at the same time
Yeah.
as the regional peak hits, just because it's when the whole grid is using a lot of energy. It's those high use times.
Great. Anything else on the environmental front to touch on before?
I think the only thing I would add is that if folks are just more in tune with their energy data and their energy habits, I think that if they have kind of a conservation mindset just in general, this is another thing that is just going to allow them to kind of act on that mentality.
Like enables them to
Exactly.
do better
Yep.
if they want to.
And maybe their mindset isn't just like that around conservation and sustainability. Maybe it's financial.
Yep.
Is the carrot that they're chasing. This helps with that too.
Yeah. So where are we at in the project overall with our smart metering initiative, and what's left on the table?
So we're over 5,500 meters deployed. It's roughly about 30% deployed. We started in September of 23. So, we're less than a year in. So the guys are doing a great job, really hammering away, between the, substation and meter groups and the line groups. They really are doing a great job with it. And we're sort of looking, fingers crossed, December 25 to be fully wrapped up with this, fully deployed.
Yep.
But I think everything's going great. Everybody's really, with all the changes we do have internally with the billing system, AMI, a lot of changes is going on, and everybody's doing a great job just sort of sticking with it, moving forward, and sort of rowing the boat all in the same direction. So,
Great.
yeah, we're doing great.
Well, I can't thank you both enough for all your leadership and making Selco truly the role model utility. And, the town of Shrewsbury wants to,
The best utility.
yeah.
I like that.
Town,
That's a good one.
certainly the town wants to be the best in everything that we can and manage. And that brings us to what we call the best segment, and our fun segments. We like to take our topic of the day and break it back down to a personal level. So, what type of environmental sustainability measures do you do at home? Like, what's your favorite one? Everyone. We all have to answer.
Okay. Someone else go first.
Taylor,
I'll go first. This is something me and my roommate are very conscious about. I talked about we go through our stuff every year and bring it to Savers instead of directing it to the waste stream. We are one of those people that go to Target to recycle our plastic bags correctly. We use beeswax wraps for our food. We have quite an extensive straw collection, glass straws. Stainless steel is not great because it can go through the roof of your mouth. It's something we think about a lot. And I turn my AC off while I'm at work, so I'm saving energy and come back to a 90-degree apartment when it's right.
They really crank it up.
right at the peak.
Our windows don't open. We don't have windows that open in our apartment, so it's quite difficult. But
That's good for energy savings.
good for
making
the
it-
good for
Some
the
ways,
environment.
in some ways. Yeah, not in the summer, but.
So I guess I'll go next. I got a 3 and a 6-year-old at home, so I like going around shutting off lights
There you go.
because everyone seems to be left on. So, but yeah, no, we just spend a lot of time outside.
Yeah.
So that's really it. You know, fires and whatnot. So, but yeah, shutting off lights. That's my number one.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's something
that's
everyone
right.
can do.
Yeah.
I just finished installing heat pumps while someone else did it for me, not myself. I was,
You sure?
Oh, I had a good picture.
I was
Melt
thinking
up.
about the phrasing of that, I was saying, but yeah, we just got those installed. We just bought a new house in December. It's aged at 1968, circa 1968, so it needed a lot of work, and that was the first thing was heat pumps. So I'm super excited about that, and I think later this week we'll be even more excited. I also have my EV that I drive around, so I all the electrified technology that I'm surrounded by all day and working on the programs. It really is just it's so cool for me. I love it.
So I don't have the EV, but in 2022, I bought a hybrid Ford F-150, and I got to tell you, the gas mileage compared to the regular internal combustion is really remarkable for me. And it's actually been a lot of fun to drive and figure out, like, of course, in my crazy brain, like what type of mileage can I actually get on it? And I drive on the highway, of course, each and every day on the Pike back and forth to work, but I'm still average, being able to maintain about 26 miles to the gallon. So for a full-size
really
pickup truck, it's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But it's taken some time to actually get used to it and figure out how to leverage it. So it's great that we can all find different ways to help, whether you are chasing the sustainability carrot or the dollar carrot or maybe a little bit of both. It's all really great. So
They're usually put together.
well, this has been a lot of fun. I want to thank Becca and Darren for coming on and sharing some insights into the cutting edge work that our municipal utility Selco is performing for their customers and for the community at large. Thanks for all of our listeners tuning in to the Town Manager Download. If you have a question or comment, you can reach us at tmdownload@shrewsburyma.gov. On behalf of Taylor Galusha, I'm Kevin Mizikar. Thank you for listening.